Okay, morning, folks. Welcome to the briefing on Thursday, the 22nd. As you can see from the chart here, this high pressure is still here. It's the high pressure that just keeps giving. Normally, they sort of last about 2 or 3 days and drift off, but this one's stuck around. It's moved slightly, so now we're just beginning to bring in a little bit more of an easterly drift into it. And that's essentially as these fronts begin to sort of gather pace here. But the isobars are fairly widely spaced. So the wind is light, light easterly. And over the course of the next 24 hours, it starts to sort of drift off. The fronts starting to move in from here, and we'll get a sort of stronger easterly flow and a reduction in pressure. So by Saturday they're currently showing the low pressure and the fronts over us. So it's beginning to dissipate. This probably is the last of the good cross-country days. The TAFs, well, they're pretty similar to the last 3 or 4 days. Short, sweet, and to the point. Farnborough, 0904 knots. They're just showing the sort of reduced visibility this morning until we actually get some thermal mixing, so it will be a little bit hazy to start off with, and then becoming fairly quickly once we get some mixing in the air. Cavo K, 10 kVs. Gatwick and Heathrow both initially show few at 4.5 and few at 4, so that's probably when we get the start of the cumulus. They'll be sort of popping up to 3.5, 4,000 feet above sea level straight away. And as the day goes on, they go up. And they're both showing light winds. It's probably a little bit stronger down on the coast than it is inland. Down at Southampton, it's probably 10 knots, I suspect, during the day. Upper winds, centre of the country, there's still the easterly drift, but it's sort of a bit variable, really. So I think it's light, a couple of knots from the east, nothing strong there. You can see maximum 5 knots up to 5,000 feet in the centre of the country. Windier down in across the channel, 15 knots down here from the east. Satpic, it's fairly clear over us. This cloud here is upper cloud, and it shows on the infrared as well. And it'll slowly creep across the western part of the UK as the day goes on. We might see it late afternoon, but it's fairly thin, fairly isolated, so not going to really cause a problem. It's quite clear in here. Temperatures rising quite nicely. Similar sort of rate to yesterday, really. 21, 22 degrees here already. I suspect a maximum of about 30 late afternoon at Lasham, and pretty similar everywhere else. Nice little hole here about Husbos area. It appeared to take a while to get going there, where everybody else around the country was already 100k down the road before they started launching at Husbos. So yeah, this is sort of the forecast warmest area. It's warming up nicely. Had a look at all the dew points as well. Currently they're around about 17, 16. I would expect them to fall to around 14 today, similar to yesterday's picture. And then plugging in those numbers, we expect to see sort of a start here, around 12ish, maybe a little bit before that, but 12 o'clock seems to be about when everybody sort of, different forecasts are saying it'll really kick off. By mid to late afternoon, plugging in those numbers into this sounding, cloud base should be in excess of 6,000 feet above sea level. That's 6.5 up here with 29 degrees. This line here will move slightly that way. Definitely cumulus in here. Less sign of sort of activity up to sort of 30,000 feet. Yesterday we could see the sort of tops of the cumulus were going fairly high, but didn't really get high enough to sort of cause any storms. I think less so today. Looking further northwest, that's 1 o'clock. probably looking at 4,500 feet by 1 o'clock in the sort of Cotswold area, and then by 4 o'clock in the afternoon again should be fairly high, 6,000 feet hopefully, with the temperatures we're expecting. So bit of a rerun of yesterday. It's always going to be slightly different, but similar sort of area, similar sort of cloud bases. The Lark Hill sounding is slightly different, and I normally look at this just to get an idea of when the inversion's going to break. This picture is very similar up through here, with a couple of inversions just to peg things down a bit, but it looks like it'll take slightly less temperature. 24-25 should break that quite nicely and give us 4,000 foot cloud base, whereas it required a little bit more than that yesterday. So the low level inversion is sort of reducing, but that looks really good with cloud bases up around the sort of 2,000 meter mark in here by mid-afternoon. Top Meteo seems to like logging me out fairly regularly. Today, let's go for thermal heights by 12 o'clock, showing it getting going round about 1,300 meters, but very quickly going up by sort of 2 o'clock, 1,600 to 1,800 meters in this area here. And then by sort of 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 2,000 meters, all the way up to the northwest, up towards the Mind, quite high out this way. It appears to be less good out towards, it'll still be reasonable out towards Cambridgeshire, but northwest appears to be the area that Top Meteo are favouring. Cloud amounts, they've been a bit sort of hit and miss on the sort of cloud amounts. You're going to have sort of 3 to 4 eighths cumulus most of the day, certainly around here. There will be gaps in places, but that's sort of 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you can start to see the influence of the high cloud coming in here to the west. But pretty good over a big area. They are forecasting showers, coastal areas. So something to be aware of if you're going a long way today. And a bit like yesterday, should be good till 7 o'clock in the evening. So reasonable day, folks. Suggested distance is there. Anywhere out to the north towards Husbos and anywhere west towards the Mind and beyond. So it looks pretty good. Okay, so airspace wise, not really a lot going on. Still the keyboard temporary danger area. Yesterday, Boscombe Down weren't even open, so no chance of getting a crossing through that. If you are going that way, be worth giving it a try, see if you can. And apart from that, you've got to go a long, long way to find anything that's, Bury St Edmunds, there's a fly past, and very little else apart from our usual in the channel. Tomorrow there's an air display and restricted area for the red arrows at Coningsby, but I don't think that's going to be an issue with the weather forecast tomorrow and the stronger easterly winds, which might make it a bit more challenging for cross-country flying. Okay, so grid today, folks. We're going to stick it on the north side, grass, almost in the normal place, but I will put the fire truck out where I want the grid to start, so that we're back far enough for the hot conditions, and people will get off the ground. It worked okay from the runway yesterday, but it was a bit of a slog with everybody trying to pull forward. So we'll go back to the grass, but we'll have it far enough back that it won't be an issue clearing the trees. Jet movements, none today. I think there's one possibly late tomorrow. We're on 0.9 with the light easterly winds. And just remember the usual sun hat, sun cream, and plenty of water. There will be water available on the launch point vehicle. So ready to get going fairly shortly. Get the kit out and I'll see you out at the launch point.